All right, so first time in Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Stage AE.
Stage AE.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
How did this whole thing come about? I know you've been doing a lot of festivals.
Yeah.
You got a whole string of radio shows.
So we were doing a run at the end of August this summer, where it was just kind of going around the states, visiting a couple of radio spots here and there. But some of the radio stations that we visited, or at least spoke with online, were like, we want to have you for the Christmas show, and this was one of them. So it was kind of a thrill for us because we always wanted to play Pittsburgh, and it was nice that it was at a venue like this, which is this huge venue with bands like the Struts and Glorious Sons. Like it's sort of an ideal show for us. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
That's kind of how it came about.
Okay. You guys have had a very good showing on Spotify.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good. That's for sure.
Did that start from like word of mouth? Did you? How was your promotion really that started? There's so many bands on Spotify.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's endless.
So, what do you think sparked that?
I think probably the top one. It's tough. There's two major things that happened for us. So the first was sync placements. So we had our songs placed in some major TV outlets. So a show called Suits, Parks and Rec, and then we had Monday Night Football. More recently, Hockey Night in Canada, and just that helps to spur on your stream counts and people that are going to find your music, especially when they use an app that helps locate your music, and then they can go to Spotify right away. That was one aspect. The other aspect was through the help of this one woman who's the head of Rock Spotify. Her name's Allison Hagendorf, and she's great with finding new artists, especially rock-leaning artists, and pushing them, kind of putting them on a platform for people to see. So she added us to a couple of major playlists on Spotify, and that helped us get the stream counts that we now have. So it's kind of a combination of the two. Allison was a huge, huge help for us early on. We really appreciate that. And the syncs as well.
How do you feel about a platform like Spotify? A lot of artists see it as a double-edged sword. It gets you exposure, but yet you're not really making a lot of money from it. I think it's mainly the older bands, maybe are more established. They're a little bit upset with it.
It's so hard to say.
But a new band, is it?
If not for Spotify, then we wouldn't be playing the shows that we're playing now. We wouldn't have the audience that we have online now. And when I say Spotify, I mean like, let's just
streaming music.
Yeah, we'll bunch all the music streaming platforms together. On the other hand, yes, there is the argument that they don't really pay artists very well, or you're not really going to make your living off of your streams. If you can sort of understand that and be like, that's fine, we'll find other channels of income. Spotify is still an amazing tool to have, and it's just now everybody's on a level playing field. Like you can stream the Rolling Stones, and then you can stream some kid who just released music today from his bedroom. So it puts everybody out there. Whether that's good, I'm not too sure, because you have a lot of music. Whether it's good or bad is up to you. But the same token, it's been revolutionary for just getting your music out there fast. So it has been a help at the end of the day.
So, you're not a brand new band. You have 2 EPs, and this is your first full length, right?
Yeah, so our EPs were released independently, but this full length was released through the help of our now label, which is E1 Music. So I guess our first release, full album release as a label musician is Black Holes. And
is there a reason you kind of went indie like that, with an indie label?
I just feel like it's all about the team. Your label's team is going to make or break you as an artist. This team is so supercharged with motivation, and we felt like going with an indie label where you're not lost in the shuffle between all these huge bands who are a lot more established than you are, and who have a lot more things going on right now. It's nice to have a label who can focus on you and help build you the way that you want to be built, and also be filled with these people who are so motivating and that you can contact. I've heard stories of people just trying to get a hold of their label rep and they can't even get through the phone. It's like, we don't have that issue, and I'm so happy about that. So that's probably what tipped us to the point of going with an indie. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no doubt. For a 2-piece band, you guys generate a lot of sound.
Yes, we did that.
How do you replicate that live?
So, it's kind of tough to say. I use a lot of pedals on stage. I wouldn't say a lot. I'd say probably more than, let's say, your average lead guitarist would.
Okay.
and that's just so that I have a range of tones that I can play with. But I use heavy things. I use a big amp. I use a heavy guitar, Les Paul. I use, even the strings that I use are a heavier gauge, and I feel like that helps me bring out the low end in my tone, so that you're not feeling like there's something missing. That coupled with Justin playing drums the way he does, he's an animal. He plays the drums real hard, so it can be loud and it can be heavy, but I also like to make note of the sort of dynamics that we can play with on stage. We can be very loud and in your face and rip roaring rock and blues, but at the same time we also like to pull back. We're not just gonna blow your ears off for 45 minutes to an hour. Like, we have a lot of dynamics that we play with, so it's a mix.
So as a two-piece, and with the particular sound that you have, you're obviously going to get comparisons to White Stripes, Black Keys, and then you have your name, Blue Stones.
Yeah.
So, are you flattered by this kind of stuff, or is it like, yeah, it's great, but yeah, we want to be ourselves?
People are going to compare you no matter what. Even I do it. Like, I'll hear a new band and be like, oh, this sounds like this band to me, or a mix of these two. So I'm okay with the comparisons. If that's what makes you better understand our music, then go ahead. That's totally fine. What gets me is when people are like, oh, they sound exactly like. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like we've spent a long time developing our sound. Not even really purposely, but just the way it's come out. And it is easy to compare us to a band like the Black Keys and the White Stripes, which, don't get me wrong, are huge influences on us.
Sure.
But I feel like we have something different to offer as well. And so I hope that from that shallow comparison off the bat, you can then look deeper into the music and be like, oh no, this is what these guys are now.
Right now you have a song out called Solid Ground.
Black Hole, Solid Ground.
Yeah. You got a lyric video and a regular video.
Yeah.
I found the lyric video interesting with the image of the astronaut, the spaceman. Is that kind of an obvious reference with being not on solid ground?
Yeah, it is in a way. It's tied to the idea of, like, the song itself is kind of about feeling lost and having to choose between these two paths that you might be given. I wrote it when I was just coming out of my university degree, and I was cast out into the real world. I had to make a decision between something secure, something that was my solid ground, and I could see 10 years in the future for my own career, or something that was a bit of a black hole, a little bit of a risk, a leap into something that was unknown. And I felt like the imagery of an astronaut just kind of floating helplessly through space I felt very relevant to the way I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
So, it's on the nose when it comes to the space imagery,
sure,
but it's also deeper in the sense where metaphorically it's there too.
But then in the regular video, you have this man shocking himself.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of like the battle within ourselves. So is that a reflection of the battle that you had coming out of school and be like, what do I do now?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I felt like the film company we worked with, Jason Lester was the director, and they just nailed it on the head with the treatment that they gave us. We helped to develop it a little bit, but they kind of took it home. And we're very, very happy with the video, how it turned out. And you're right, it is about a battle within yourself. So it was a nice way to put that in an image form.
I even though I'm twice your age, but I remember, now that you tell me this story, I think we all go through it, whether it's you're getting out of high school or college, or maybe you're stuck in a job and you don't know what to do. So that's very relevant. So when you're writing lyrics, is it just you're thinking, all right, I'm just drawing from personal, or do you say, well, I'm going to maybe let this be a little bit ambiguous so that people can derive their own meanings?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, because I think it's a mix. So there's a lot of songs that are on this album that are written from personal experience, for sure, and a lot of references to some things that have happened in my life and Justin's life and our friends' lives. But there's also the songs that are just kind of, it's weird, because when I write a riff, sometimes the music will come first, so then I'll write the lyrics to the music. Other times, for the songs where I might have thought of it first lyrically, that's where I think is tied more to my life.
Okay.
So it is a mix of the two. Sure. Yeah, it's a mix of the two.
So from here, you got a string of holiday festivals, or whatever you want to call them. And then you have some big festivals coming up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, some big ones. So Shaky Knees is one that we recently announced. And then there's more that I just can't talk about.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the. I would love to say them, but
Right.
yeah, there's some big stuff in 2019 that we're really looking forward to.
And do you enjoy playing festivals? You know, I meet some bands that are like, oh, you know, it's cool because you get the exposure, but you're just not close.
I do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fun. They put together a really cool experience for the artists as well. And there's a lot of these things that you can sort of do, like activities for us to do while we're there. They take care of you, you know, food, catering wise. Festival catering is amazing.
Yeah,
and
I've had it before.
Dude, it's so
yes,
good.
It's very good.
And that was like one of our biggest shocks. Like,
Yeah.
wow, this is actually really good. But I like playing festivals. I really do. It's like if you're gonna go there and see a bunch of bands, and we happen to be thrown into the mix of the bands that you like that day, that's it. You know,
cool.
we won.
Yeah. I think I was reading on Billboard, where you released your video, that you're thinking about going back into this studio
Yeah.
in 2019, early 2019,
Oh, yeah.
if I'm correct.
You're right.
So, do you have a buildup of material that you're ready to go? That you're
Yeah.
kind of excited
Yeah.
to get in there?
I mean, I feel like we've got like 2 albums worth full of songs. Like it's
Okay.
just there's so many songs that we've written over the years before we were even on a label that have just been sitting there. So it's going to be nice to go in and flesh those out and actually produce some demos that are worth really looking over and seeing what we can release.
How much are you involved in that production process? I mean, we've grown up when I was a kid playing in bands, it was, you put your cassette recorder on.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, kids have this like limitless, I mean, you can put something on GarageBand and it sounds pretty damn
That's
good.
very true.
Being the age that you are, did you have that type of experience?
I think I did for our own personal recordings. So when I would record something, let's say to send over to Justin, I was pretty well versed in how GarageBand worked and doing a very limited amount of sound mixing.
Right.
But that was mainly for demos. When we go into a studio, I don't know enough to be able to produce something that sounds really great, which is why we go in there and we work with like a studio tech, and on this album we did work with a producer as well. So it's just nice to have a couple other ears on it too.
Yeah.
Because if it's just you tend to get into a rut of sorts. But it's nice to have a few more ears on the project to be like, maybe try this. Or,
So kind of to wrap that up, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
So you're going into the studio. Do you like the studio? Do you enjoy the studio process?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because some
I do.
bands are like, oh, we just don't play
No, I
live.
do. I feel like it's a way to be locked into an artistic space and be able to actually explore all these ideas that you can't necessarily do when you're like singing in the car or something like that, or playing live before sound check. So it's nice to be in the studio and be like, hey, I'm here to make some music. So I do like that experience for sure. It can get frustrating, especially when you're like 7-8 hours in the studio. You want to get the hell out of there. But for the most part, it's pretty enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're looking forward to some new material, even though we're still kind of soaking in what you've got out there now.
I know, it's funny. It's fascinating.
But we're excited you're playing the kick-ass Christmas party here tonight, and hopefully we will see you come back through town soon.
Yes, I would love that too.
All right, very cool. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks for the chat.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.